Hey, how are you? Acting. I was never really interested in acting. I have a brother who is good at it, who could be if he wanted. But in life, I was always acting. I could never be who I was. It was, I was indoctrinated into believing it was wrong. I was wrong. So I learned to deny myself to be seamlessly. And I hold a distinction. For much of my life, it was a discontent, anger. It was redemption, victimhood, righteous victimhood handed up to me in resonance with my peers, the people I went to school with, the kids. So I grew up in Northeast Minneapolis. I was upper, or no, lower middle class, which was good. Most of the kids I knew were that. There's a cohesion in the neighborhood. So I went to an open school, a school for um, English as a second language. So there were kids from all over the world at the school, a lot of refugee kids. And so I had speech problems. I took special classes there for speech. So I was naturally divided from my peers on alienated within and without. But I found resonance with these kids that were here from other countries because they were isolated as well. And that whole program was like that. It was just developing how to speak, how to pronounce. So I did that for 9 years. In that process, it started hard and it gradually matured into a understanding of how to be in relation to other people without sacrificing anything. And that was isolating in with boundaries. And then into that, I grew different aspects of being in relation. And I went through many of the emotions. Then I realized physical activity and creativity and all that other sports and other things to get the energy out, and it released the tension so I could be more natural. And then you learn social energies and etiquette and all that other nuanced stuff. How to be in relation with people, essentially, and still be who you are. Learning, what sacrifice is. Just being helpful. You learn that. Then learning how to discern knowing judgment, feeling it. Then getting into the intricacies of the idiosyncrasies of people and the things that gnaw on you and realizing there's something within you working through them. And we're all in these little wheels sitting in cubes doing these monotonous things for money, for paper, for minerals, just to be. And you realize how fake all that is. And you wonder what's wrong with you. Why don't you realize how fucked up all this is? How did you numb out of this? No measure good health is well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. But a good mimic, it does promote, and that's this narcissistic stuff. But narcissism is, I don't know, I feel it's just pretending too hard. You have to hold these personas so strong, you sacrifice your authenticity. And it's a demand that reaches out to others to keep that illusion going. And it is a maternal energy. But, I mean, fathers carry it as well, you know. We all channel these shadows of our polarities. The dragon mother raises a king. The king raises a devouring mother. The devouring mother raises a dragon mother, etc. I know it. I've seen it, felt it. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't even mean that's all that it is. That's just what I'm tuned into. There's a lot more to it. That's just one aspect. Right, so these psychological things, and then extending that between yourself and others into the dynamics, the things that are moving, macro to micro now. Logos, the polis, the logismi, echoes, trauma, the progression of growth, psyche, you know, an event happening over aeons that's like a cycle that's huge, where this crazy conundrum between an infinity and not even existing, the ephemeral. But there's this purity and resonance, and it's something you can feel and you can live. That's, I feel the analysis is paralysis from being. So there's something beyond all this analysis. That's Aquarius. Leads you into the ineffable of Pisces. Well, now we're coming from the ineffable and we're realizing things. New language for old unknowns. So ancient it is new. But not just one, as many as there are consciousnesses to perceive. You know, we're creating, co-creating a symphony. Dingings, you know, there's resonance. You throw a bunch of rocks into a still tub or a pond, and there are ripples, and some are bigger than others. So there are, where is your consciousness? What are you in relation to? What's the alchemy of your spirit? If your psyche was spirit, how would you resonate? Air, body, you know, earth, air, water, fire. Earth is form, any physical manifestation. Air, any communication. expression of spirit into words. Fires the emotion, the feeling, the passion, the fire of the energy you put into things, intensity, the light, and the water is the flow, the feeling within yourself and without, where that meets. Is it still or is it thrashing? Why? What is it connected to? What experience? So there's all these things, and then the dynamics of life pull them all together, and we find ourselves in these trances, and then we realize we're conscious for a bit, and we swim a little. It's when we're feeling our pull, and we go into the trances, and we digest, and then we're in and out. The ripples, swimming through the ripples. So to me, it's like I can accept anyone's belief. It's the energy. If it's pure, it's not trying to take or stop, hold to static conviction. It's not that that's my enemy. It's just not, it gives me distinction, reason. And the reason isn't my reason. It's a reason for relation. And it allows whatever else to be, and outcomes will be the purity of who you are. Where's your consciousness? Do you hold true spirit, or is it replication of some echo, a hungered ghost? I feel true spirit burns shadow, essentially. It consumes shadow. It feeds upon the dark. It doesn't do it with any kind of sense of power. It's a natural relation. Night becoming day. As more torches, ignite in this darkness, it becomes brighter. That's the sky. That's Aquarius. The density in the dark, you can't see anything, generally speaking, in your home. But in the light, you can see all the statics. So these are the statics. Where's your value? Is it going to be in the resonance of the old, an echo of the old? If so, then you are perfecting something of that. It doesn't mean that you're not growing or you're descending or you're less than. It means the purity of who you are is in resonance to a completion of something, a perfection of something, a digestion, a progression of a cycle of your ancestors. And if you feel like you are repulsed by the societal narration, then you are feeding into the next energy, this Uranian field. The muse is rising. There are mythologies yet to be conceived, being born within us. But it is not that you have to forget everything else. You have to figure out your authenticity, then everything else fades away. It becomes easy to distinguish. Then this allows you at least to be the fool, knowing that your mistakes will be wise because they're progressions from where you were. It's not about destination, it's about process equals result. That's the Aquarian energies you can hold. if you got that Virgo intention, you can put it to form in ways to help you expand, to break through old dynamics. This is how the Mercury octave to Uranus is activated. It's like being of service to yourself in a ritual of expansion, of change. You know, if you're feeling down and you're tuned into the negativity, which is easy to do, then that energy, that pull you feel, it's pulling you and you're trying to swim, but you're holding all this dross, the energy of that. You're building a spiritual endurance. You're not quite done. You still got more to burn out. But if you can think in these times, even though you may not feel the value or the worth, if you can think, well, the feeling is relational to an old circuit, an old energy. It is going to change anyway, so let me use this brain to at least align this here now with the future outcome, which is optimal for me. Knowing that I'm going to grow into it. It's like when I first got a good job, I bought a house that was just on the edge of what I could afford because I knew within 5 years I'd have more money and enough to pay, no problem. And if I didn't, I could just get another job. So I already had a desire and I understood what it would take and I was prepared for that. So if you can get the mind into it, at least then you have that. You know, you're able to get the Mercury into the Uranian change energy and you're able to ritualize that, bring that into routine form. And then that builds up the spirit to feed into the Aries energy, which is the pioneering, passionate beginnings energies. Bringing your spirit into form, grounding it through Taurus, and realizing it through Gemini. Bringing the new language for emotions and feelings you had not deciphered, you had not been able to feel because you're processing other flows. And that allows the spirit to burn more pure. And then that heaven to earth thing, embodying meaning in your own life, that's heaven to earth. It's not some kind of utopia thing. When enough people do it for themselves, it probably is. That's probably one of the golden age yuga cycles. I don't know. But I mean, even in any age, you can be in those yuga cycles. You can tune into cycle. So if you are resonant with the Uranian energies, the transpersonal planets, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, and others we don't even know, you could consider Aries. The cycles get larger the farther out you go. And then you're digging into these intuitive nuances that people have come to understand through different cycles. So it's like blockchain in a way. Because as the consciousness perceives, the language deceives. But in that deception, you can intuit meaning and you find what that is. It's a very strange thing. It's why the observer, only those who truly feel it will see the value in astrology. And if your consciousness is tuned into what it is you know because you can't release it, then you're not going to be able to make room for this, or any system for that matter. But I don't know, that was a Iranian Mercury diatribe there. All right, so the sun is in a yod with Neptune and Pluto, squaring Uranus. So we've got all the transpersonal planets going on. Sun is the spirit, you, your divine will, the charge of who you are flowing through this temple of self. You're resonating, you're tuning in through these energies. The music of the spheres, the octaves, the keys, the angles, the measurements, conception. Conception being what we're feeling and we're trying to figure out the language of it. What the heck is it? And it's changing. And as we feel this divine will, the sun, in what we do, how we be in life, we are casting, we're setting in form the spirit of what that is. You don't need to use astrology in a way where I've got to do things on these dates, I've got to play by these logics. What I feel is it's a way to teach you how to intuit the language of your felt presence of experience, your life. It's an elemental language. And what I can tell you as well is if you can get in tune with your own natural intuition, you don't need any system. But this system allows me to talk like this, and a lot of people need to be brought in through the mind. You know, Gemini moon, such as me, I'm putting a language to feeling, understanding what it is. There's an ignorance required for this. It is a receptivity to being open, curiosity to receive. Most people say quincunx is a blind spot. It's like and it is, but it is for very deep transformative reasons. It's a superpower as well as a curse. It's a gift. It's a plutonic energy, gifts of the ancestors. That's the quincunx dynamics. And you get quincunxes all the time. The moon goes around the chart all the time. So it's not specific, just if you don't have them in your chart doesn't mean you don't know what it is, because it's a standard energy we all feel. If you have it naturally, then you have, you hold a charge to that, a resonance with those dynamics in life. Likewise, if you have yods, or any aspect really, you can look at the positives and the negatives of them, but you can see that all results are outcomes. Your process will become what it is you can realize here now, how you can put spirit to form. So that's what the sun yod can give us here. For me, I've already have ideas. I'm in a place where I can just be. There are things I've got to do. There are things that will be condensed. But it is, you know, you don't need to be right all the time, only when it matters. So that's the kind of spirit I'm in. And I feel like whatever type of spirit you can get into so that you can get in tune with your own intuition, feeling the flows, is it pulling you into some dross of the past? Have you digested enough? We need to punish ourselves for a certain amount of time, and then we gotta like get back and recover from that, be reborn. The reason to go down is so you can rise again. That's quincunx energies. You know, if you didn't rise up, then going down wouldn't have mattered, because you would have been out. it's part of a circuit, a process. It is maturation. It is squaring. It is Saturn, Father form, casting us so we can nurture nature. We can bring things to a beautiful perfection and lose ourselves in the process and turn or allow a fine meal to rot over time. It's just, there's so many ways to say it. However, you can find the meaning in it so that you can hold value in all this stuff and still find reason to rise for yourself and those you care about. That's for me, probably the most powerful way to be in this world. And then your process, I feel, becomes the outcome. Uncontrolling, you allow the river to hold you and you follow the flows. Hanging on, you can't feel that because you're so tense. The world's learning it. We're all learning to release fears. We've been releasing fears the past few years. It's not all like orchestrated, planned, evil genius stuff. There's deeper reasons. The surface is never quite the truth, is it? So we've been releasing fears. The fears have been rising. We've had to go through them. We've been getting the Uranian treatment, the shock treatment. Every day our liver's getting eaten out, and every night we are growing it back. The Mother Moon is nourishing us in the darkness. The Pluto is rising. Transformation. Food shortages, crap in the food, crap in the soil, train derailments, toxic stuff everywhere. Childlike response to, orchestrated terrorism, essentially co-signed by white male news. You just need a reason and the mind agrees on anything. It's like, if you can't put the words to the feeling, the truth of it, you cannot act upon it. You are in replication. That's how the world works. You have to be able to see the darkness in yourself. Accept that to be able to see it in this place. And then you realize accepting it is just knowing that's what gives distinction. I don't know, I'm feeling the fire to speak here. The moon is in 17 degrees Pisces now, maybe. Second decan. 9 of Cups. So follow your fulfillment. How can you feel good? What would make you feel good? What might make you feel good? How do you bring that into reality, into being? So you can get in that flow, feel that flow, and create it in this world. Follow the river. No matter where you go, if you're by the river, you got water. Doesn't matter if you're in the desert or in a forest. And if you bring your own fish, you can keep them in the river and you can just farm them as you go, just move slower. Then you find the most amazing place, and then you just set up, and then that becomes foundation, and then you grow into the future. That's kind of how this is, I feel. Simple. Let complexity arise as it must, but do not create it. That was my motto in IT. I never like to add all the bells and whistles and crap. Any little update from any disparate team can rattle the entire cage. You have to have not planned obsolescence, but room. You can't have it too tight. The elements you want tight is security and functionality. Everything else should be open. Then if something is proven, and I don't need to prove it, I don't need to be some industry techno guru guy. If someone else proves it, then I applaud him, I thank him, and I incorporate it if I see the value. I feel that's how you can do life. So be methodical with energetic exchange. Follow your flow in the way that honors you best and maintains relations so that everyone else can grow through your process without being at odds or a hindrance. It's an art. All right, well, that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for watching, listening, and being.